How are you feeling this morning?
Well, today Almog Peretz, my client, was subpoenaed to discuss what he went through in the shooting that happened in Chabad of Poway on April 27th. And it's not something that's easy to do, to go over it. And today, one of the things that he's asked me to speak about is the effects of the mental health, of how the shooting affects mental health. And oftentimes, seemingly every 2 to 4 weeks now, we hear about a shooting, and we hear about the deaths and the physical injuries that occur because those are the most blatant. But what we don't hear about are the long-term effects on mental health, on survivors. And that's something that I think we need to bring out and have a conversation about. Almog Peretz is one of the bravest individuals that I've ever met in my life. When he saw the gunman shooting, he could have ran away on his own. Every second that you can save is that's a potentially life-saving second. And the AR-15 shoots about 1 bullet per second, and all it takes is 1 to kill. So when he saw the gunman shooting, the first thing he did, he went and picked up a 4-year-old girl while bullets were flying at them. He then grabbed his niece, Noya Dahan, by the hand and dragged her out, and then he got 10 to 20 children to safety after that. And he can take solace in the fact that he did that. That's something he takes with him. He knows that he likely saved their lives, but unfortunately that's all he really has to hang on to today. He's a single man living in Los Angeles, no family around him, got diagnosed with PTSD, going to treatment every week, going to physical therapy as well as psychological treatment. When you go through that, it's hard to form relationships. It's hard to go and find a job, to go to work. It's scary, when you have the image burned in your head of a man in a militaristic vest aiming a rifle at you with sole intent on taking away your life because of nothing other than your religion. And when you go through that, as Almog has discussed with me in depth, he's always looking for the next John Earnest. No matter where he is, he's always looking, when is the next John Earnest going to appear and start firing, no matter where he is? Because if it could happen at a peaceful place like a synagogue, it can happen anywhere. And all the things that come along with not being able to form relationships and works, not being able to pay the bills and not knowing what the future holds, all of those things just compound the damage that mental trauma brings about. And so his main focus today, and why he's asked me to speak with you guys, is to get out the message that mental injuries are no less important than physical injuries. And we need to spread that conversation, and make sure that when we allocate resources to health, we're allocating them not just to physical injuries, but to mental injuries as well.
What was it like for him preparing for today? Obviously, not an easy thing to relive it. You working with him, what was his emotions this week?
It's tough. It wasn't easy for him. Coming up over here in court in front of a lot of strangers, and especially in front of the shooter himself, and to discuss what he's been going through. It's hard enough to live through it, but to talk about it is very, very, very difficult. And that's pretty much all I can say about that.
Have you heard how the niece is doing?
The niece, I don't want to speak, on her behalf. We've, seen in the media, luckily she's had the support of family around her. In the community, they've really, really helped her out. They came out and, had a nice birthday party for her, and so I don't want to speak on her behalf because I haven't spoken to her. But luckily she has family, and having family and that circle of support around you definitely helps. And that's something that Almog does not have around him in Los Angeles.
How do you think Almog did today with those questions during the process as well?
Well, he has a very good recollection of what happened, and so he was confident because the truth is behind him. When you're telling the truth, and he has shrapnel from bullets that are embedded in his leg, and are going to be embedded in his leg to serve as a reminder of this for the rest of his life. There's not really much room to forget or not recall the events of what happened. I mean, he was there. He saw the shooter. He grabbed a girl off the ground. He grabbed another girl by the hand. He was shot, ran out, saved kids. So it's pretty straightforward. And he was very confident. I think he did a great job, given the circumstances.
How was he after he was up on the stand? Did you get to talk to him afterwards?
I spoke to him briefly. He told me it wasn't easy to do, but again, it's for him. It's very important to get the message out. He wants people to really understand that there's a lot more. After all the storylines are done, and when the next shooting happens, they don't get to forget about this. They live with it, and live with it for the rest of their lives.
And aside from the message that he cares so much about, what does he hope to see come from trial? Has he expressed to you what he hopes this all ends up as?
He wants justice. He hasn't gotten too much into detail of what he wants specifically to happen to the shooter. He right now he's kind of just focusing on himself and people around him, and really it's just when you're in that hole of PTSD, you're not focusing too much on what happens with the court proceedings. He's putting it in their hands. Any more questions? No? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said you're representing him, are you?
I'm representing him. I'm his attorney, yeah.
Okay, you're representing him in what?
In the civil capacity.
Yeah, for what reason?
Well, I'm waiting for that question from you. We can't go into that today.
No, the prosecutor said that he might not be available for trial.